so exorbitant a cost that it will socially be not accepted. We have to start reinventing. We have to start looking at new solutions, at new aspects, at new technology. And if we are true to our heart, if we are sensitive to this primary question, then there are solutions. We will find good solutions. They will come up, they will appear in front of you if you keep on and on, trying and not giving up. Paradigm shift, the old paradigm. In fact, this is the current paradigm. We have constrained ourselves in we will find good solutions. How they will come up, they deliver? Will appear in front of you. What if you is keep the optimal on cost? And on, at the same trying time, and not giving up. We do talk of quality. Paradigm shift, the old paradigm. So we have just taken into account. In fact, this is the current paradigm. Everybody is happy. The client, the engineer, we will find good solutions. How they will come up. They will appear in front of you. What is the optimal cost? Good cost benefit ratio and quality and not giving I wanted is reasonably do talk of quality. Paradigm shift, the old what is the paradigm shift? We have just taken into account, in fact, brought onto the mindset of every citizen, of every user of this technology. Is just one small part of the new paradigm. The new paradigm talks about human satisfaction. It talks about minimal negative environmental impact. It talks about the sustainability, reducing the carbon footprint. Now, these are the paradigms, as I said, did not appear anywhere in our textbooks. As I also pointed out, each of us as teachers have to spare time at the cost of not finishing our syllabi to make every student aware of these issues. They need to know that whatever I do, I am bringing this into the life of the common citizen. I am bringing this into the whole realm of administration. And naturally, when you bring this into the realm of administration, in the realm of usage, in the realm of the economy, there will be others, because everyone has to stop. You can't just be held responsible for a certain amount of sustainability that you can handle. The rest has to be shared, but you have to create that kind of the mindset, the right kind of questions. We might not have the answers, but we have to stop. So the new paradigm is much more humongous. Believe me, you need to bring a common platform whereby the responsibility is shared. It will be shared. Responsibility is, all of us know, never shared so easily. Everybody is going to pass on the baton to the next person, to the next creed of engineers, that okay, fine, the environmentalists, you go and do your research and give me a solution. The IT people will say, I have done my lot. This is the time when we need to intermingle. We need to learn about other domains so that you ask the right kind of technological questions that help me. I need this, and can you create this kind of a structure, this kind of a system for me? You need the mechanical engineers, you need the electrical engineers, you need the electronics engineers, the instrumentation engineers. But we as a creed have been very happy learning more and more and more about civil engineering, and somewhere down the line we missed a little bit on knowing about more technologies because we thought that we do not need them. But in this new paradigm, in this larger question,
शायद नेटवर्क इशू है मैडम, पॉज भी दोगे? हेलो मैम,
कन्नन देख रही है मैडम, देख रही है कन्नन देख रही है आप तो बराबर से जब भी हम तो यहाँ से वो कमेंट करके
ओके
राइट बट चैलेंज है मैडम नंबर आज खाली
कॉल कर रही हूँ ना
मैं एक पेज कर रहा हूँ मतलब परेशान अलेक्स
Sorry for the inconvenience. We think there is some kind of network issue. We will shortly restart. नहीं पर मैंने बोला सॉरी फॉर द इनकन्वीनियंस, दैट इज द
हाँ मैडम आइए
मैम को कॉल कर लो ना।
मतलब बंद से आ भी गया नहीं के
प्रेजेंटेशन भी गायब हो गई है मैम की।
जाओ जाओ कल राजू मैडम क्या છે નથી यार
वही तो मैं बोल रही हूँ मैम लीव हो गई है।
નથી यार गजर का नंबर से मालूम નથી એટલે કે જે मैंने इस नंबर पर फोन किया है वो मोबाइल में उनको दूसरे मोबाइल से कॉल करना है।
ओके तो मैम आ रहे
हाँ
पार्टिसिपेंट्स भी कम हो गए।
तो इसको शेयरिंग करते हैं तब तक राजू मैडम का वो प्रेजेंटेशन सेंड कर देंगे। मैडम बोलो कनेक्ट शेयर कर देते ठीक है नेट को प्रेजेंटेशन शेयर स्लाइड चालेल सर हाँ चालेल सर मैडम नो अवेल આવે છે पार्टिसिपेंट से रिक्वेस्ट करो वी जस्ट वेट फॉर 5 मिनट्स तो की દીધું છે
હા આ
ફાઇન તો ઓદી મેડમ નો બાયોડેટા ફરીથી બોલું કરું છું હેલો ઓદી મેડમ નો બાયોડેટા ફરીથી પ્રેઝન્ટ કરું હા એટલે એમાં તમે બિટ થઈ જાવ રીજોઈન કરો ફરીથી
नहीं अभी तक मैम जॉइंट ही नहीं हुआ मैम मुझे तो भेजते पंकज कुमार नहीं म्यूट है तो आउटसाइड योर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ये राहुल यही है ना राजुल के गज्जर
हाँ मैडम
हेलो मैम कैन यू हियर मी
एक्चुअली मैं कॉल कर रहा हूँ, शायद किसी से बात कर, चलो वापस प्रेजेंटेशन चल रहा है, ठीक है ना, आवाज आए तो बोल देना। स्क्रीन तो शेयर
કારણ કે એ નથી થઈ રહ્યું. That is the only thing that is not happening. Okay. Someone did that for me. Okay, fine. So now
मैम तुम्हारा फेस आएगी मैम.
Yeah. So what I
फेस आएगी मैम.
હા પણ મારે હવે મારી સ્ક્રીન શેર કરવી છે. Okay, can you see the slides now? Can you see the slides now?
Yes ma'am, yes, I can see the slides ma'am.
Okay. એક જ મિનિટ, હું પ્રોબ્લેમ સ્લાઇડ શો માં જઈ રહી છું પણ I think that is causing the problem. Okay, can you see the slides now? Hello?
No, ma'am.
You can't see the slides?
Yes. Now we can see.
Oh, now you can see? Okay, can you see? Is it visible now?
Actually, it is taking 3 seconds buffer time to.
Yeah, I know.
Now it is
But
visible.
is it visible?
Yes.
Okay, fine. So we're talking about, I think you heard me till the old paradigm and the new paradigm. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Any given response?
Hello? Okay, fine. So I'll continue from here.
Yes.
Okay, fine. So let's these glitches, online glitches are there. Let's continue with the aspect of sustainability versus the sustainable development. Now, when we talk about sustainability, it refers to the viability of natural resources, the ecosystem, and maintenance of the living standards of humans. And when we talk about sustainable development, we talk about an entire process wherein each of us responsibly takes action, takes decisions, and we are able to bring in some kind of technology which does not just say that, okay, fine, there is a problem, but there are no solutions. So coming down, boiling everything down to the construction practices, sustainable construction practices are those that will fit well with the goals of sustainable development goals. There are sustainable development goals which have been declared globally, which have been accepted by all industry, and we as one community cannot just stay away and say that this is all that I can do. We have to fit into the sustainable development goals, and that is where we have to move forward to. That is the only way to be able to contribute and to reduce risk. Optimizing cost, of course, will always primarily be asked by every individual. They will also talk about improving the processes for efficiency, but we will have to create processes, we will have to create products, we will have to create services which are at the end of the day environmentally benign. Only if they are environmentally benign, and in addition to that, they are able to talk about optimizing cost or improving efficiency. That is an added advantage. But at this point, we have to think, we have already crossed the line about the cost and the efficiency aspects. We have to now talk about our products, our services, and our processes which fit into the sustainable development goals. So there are three major aspects which the sustainable goals cover: the environmental impact, the economical impact, and the social impact. Let's start with the easiest one, which everybody asks us about, is the economical impact. Linear to circular economy of renewable energy. We talk about renewable energy. A lot has been done in this whole domain of renewable energy. We have to start utilizing it. Similarly, as we already know, in these 5 days itself, we are going to talk about new material, we are going to talk about reusing, about recycling. So we have to talk seriously about it and put it into practice. We can't just say that we experimented and this worked and this much percentage of the result is available, but we do not know anything further. So what will happen in that situation is people will fall back to the old systems in the absence of new material, new processes, which raise more doubts rather than taking us forward to the sustainable solutions. We talk about water. Water harvesting and preservation is going to be the #1 goal in a very near future. We also have to talk about transferable technologies. We cannot say that instrumentation and control has the sensors, but they will be the people who will use those sensors to our advantage. We have to start learning. We have to know the use of these sensors. Where do we put them? How do we use them? Where will they come in handy to create the artificial intelligence, the kind of data that is needed, the kind of cloud data that is needed? We have to talk about transferable technologies whereby our transportation, our construction is understood by the other domains, and we are able to understand the other domains to bring them into our technologies. The adaptability of structures is another very important aspect. Today you have a building which was created with a certain focus, with a certain use that was predefined by the client. Very quickly you might not be wanting that building to be able to stand there for the use that it was designed for. What do? Do you bring it down completely, tear it down? Initially we had that luxury. A lot has been done. Buildings have been torn down, new buildings have come up with their new usages, with their new infrastructure facilities. No more of that. We have to let it live till its design lifespan, so that we have minimal waste, we have more of sustainability on our hands. So reusing, adapting ourselves to the structures which are available is also going to be a science and engineering that we have to teach our students. Financing models. So far, we have not touched upon the financing models so much within our curricula, within our construction technology itself. It was the banker's domain, it was the financer's domain, it was the investor's domain. But we have to bring it into our domains also. As we move up the ladder of the impact, we will talk about the environmental impact. What is the environmental impact of the built environment on the entire domain of the globe? So we need to bring in designs and management. All of you are now familiar with BIM. All of you are familiar with the new kind of management systems that not just optimize the materials, the cost, they also optimize the processes. So it's end to end. You know exactly when this kind of material is needed, at what place, how much of it, so that you save on the transportation, you save on the kind of time management and wastage. So these are the new technologies that you need to understand. Performance of materials and their life cycles. We talk about fibers, we talk about rice husk, we talk about new material which we are presuming is going to be the need of the hour, and therefore a lot has been done. We have covered a lot of domain. We have arrived, but we need to start putting it to use and constantly keeping an eye on its reusability, on the sustainability aspects. We need to look at renewable energy sources. Whatever we do, we cannot now say that HVAC is the domain of the mechanical engineers or the electrical engineers. We have to sit down with them. We have to ask questions about where are we going in terms of the energy, in terms of the source of energy that a particular infrastructure is going to use. And so we come to this whole attendant technologies in building, operations, maintenance. Primarily, the single question that needs to be answered at the end of the day, what is the greenhouse gas emission that you have reduced? And based on this comes the social impact. Because if you make your systems extremely costly, if you make systems which are unviable, if you suddenly say that no, you cannot go beyond 10 stories, or you cannot just expand, or you cannot readapt your structures, you are out as a whole community. Who wants people who do not have solutions? So the social impact has to be very high on your cards. High ethical standards for the quality, for the integrity, for the environment are expected. We have to stand up to that expectation. Socially viable living and working environments. We cannot now have the luxury of saying that every person can stay somewhere else and go to work about travel 2 hours in their cars. So everything is impacted. What about your transportation systems? What about your habitats? What about your work offices? So redesigning entire communities also falls into our domains. Occupational health, labor forces, use of built environment, and the ultimate wealth of the community. So key features: design integration, material selection, resource conservation, construction waste management, very, very important, and lean manufacturing techniques. These were unheard of in our dictionaries so far. We never talked about lean manufacturing. We need to talk about it more and more. We need to look into the processes that are being used. If we talk about the design integration, let's look at this entire new domain with the client at the center. So the client at the center, till now we had the structural engineer, the contractor, and we had the architect. So here is this whole domain of the new services, the new creed of engineers that come into the entire built environment. We need landscape architecture, we need the MEP consultants, the project management consultants, and also the green building professionals. Start looking at the green building criteria, start looking at how that can be incorporated right from your design to manufacture, to use, to reuse, to readapt your buildings. Think long term. Think of how this is going to be impacted. You alone, either as a structural engineer or a construction engineer or an architect, will not be able to come up to the right solutions. And therefore, this integration of this whole domain of project management consultants, of green building professionals, of MEP consultants, of your HVAC systems is very much the need of the hour. And of course, the client is going to ask crazy questions. They need to know. We cannot say that this is not your domain. Some other aspects that we need to very seriously look into is the resource conservation in terms of the land, in terms of the water, in terms of the energy and the material. So if you talk about land conservation, adaptive reuse of existing buildings, this is a just excuse me for a second. Just excuse me. Hello? Hello? Yes?
क्यों?
I'm sorry, there was a call from the minister's office. So we need to look at existing buildings and their reuse. Small amount of changes have to be part of our design process. We need to allow them rather than just bringing down entire buildings and new construction. Location of construction project sites close to existing infrastructure. I talked about the transportation, the office use, and the habitats. And we need to talk about development of non-arable lands for construction. We have to create the spaces that are adapting to the land rather than adapting the land to our spaces. Plumbing fixtures, the fixtures have come up in every form and design, in every fancy, economically unviable costs. But ultimately, at the end of the day, are we putting in the hands of the citizen a very, very efficient water usage system? Is what we need to talk about. We need to reinvent. We need to talk about collection of rainwater. We cannot allow it to just run away. Employ recirculating systems and design low demand landscaping. So that is where when we talked about the other engineers, the other experts that we need in our domains, with whom we have not yet worked, we need to start working with them. Energy conservation, low energy intensive transportation, energy efficient technological processes, choice of materials also makes a huge difference, and energy efficient deconstruction. We'll talk a little bit about the deconstruction also. We need to create buildings that can be, with minimal of deconstruction, put to reuse. Similarly, materials, waste reutilization, a lot of work is already being done in that. Durable materials. We need to look at material which have a very long lifespan so that the wastage that we create, the ecological back-breaking uh, material that we leave behind is reduced. We need to start looking again at natural and local materials and primarily at non-toxic materials. Construction waste management, the biggest issue that we are facing in today's world. So we need to management of waste. We need to look at, if this is the waste, just as much as the material that we are using, we teach our students to learn how much material goes into this. We also need to make them learn that if deconstructed, if destroyed, this is the amount of waste. You need to understand and calculate that this is the amount of waste on our hands, and therefore this is where we will dispose it of or reuse it. This is a science which we have to start teaching very early on. Along with that, as I said, what is do we have creed of engineers that have enough of haulers and enough of technology that will transport the nearest site? We understand how this debris can be diverted, reused, and reused to advantage. Can we say that the waste concrete that is being used will be able to stand for? Excuse me. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Yeah. Okay, fine. Once I am a little bit confused whether I'm still okay, fine. So similarly, we need to talk about material selection of material which is close and low cost.
बफरिंग हो रहा है मैडम
ये इशू है पासा मैडम निकली गया हमारा मैडम निकली गया पासा
है तो
वो है
only this tone or only one need
ये अपना ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है स्क्रीन अपना नेट का इशू है क्या बेटा
we experimenting with local material and rose it. That is the only way of reducing carbon emission. Only way able to come up with. So what is the material? What you see? Design durability.
मैम को बोलना पड़ेगा ना
क्या मैम का सही तो चलो
Maintenance and others. And select material. Renewable materials.
मैं बोलूं
आप बोल दो
मैडम निकल गए क्या मैडम निकल गए एक बार चेक करना पड़ेगा
निकल गए
ओके
हो गया खत्म
नहीं खत्म हुआ भाई अभी
10 मिनट ही बचे हैं
नहीं किया मैडम हाँ मैडम नीरव बोलूँ सर तो मैं जॉइंट किया बस सर आ जाओ हाँ नीरव बोलूँ तो मैडम हेलो हेलो मैडम जॉइंट है
मैम का माइक अभी तक नहीं उठा
Good morning, madam. Are you
Hello.
Are you here? Good morning, madam.
Good morning.
Is the slide visible?
No, it is not
No,
visible.
ma'am. You are not visible.
Can you see the slide? Hello.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. It's
Hello.
take a time, ma'am. 1 or 2 minutes, ma'am.
Okay. What I'll do is just give me a moment. I'll shift over to a network because I think the network itself is creating some problem. Just give me 1 second.
Sure, ma'am.
You are not audible.
Wait a minute, sir.
The video is also not visible.
Just wait a minute.
Just wait a minute, sir.
Ma'am,
Okay.
can
Can you hear me now?
Not yet.
Not yet, ma'am.
Not seeing. Can you see my slide?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Hello.
Hello.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
No visibility of PPT, ma'am.
मैम एक बार
Visible.
एक बार आपने
हेलो।
ऑप्शन निकाल ये अपने
शेयरिंग
शेयरिंग का नो मैम
हेलो मैम
हेलो मैम
एक बार
Can you see my
आपने
slide?
राइट
नहीं मैम.
नहीं मैम.
Can't see my slide.
No, ma'am. Slide says not
No, ma'am.
visualized.
Okay, let me check.
I don't know. This is
Now visible? Visible now?
No, ma'am.
No, no, ma'am. No, ma'am.
You know what I'm getting across?
Visibility.
देखा है?
ना मैम नहीं देखा था.
See, what I am doing is I am sharing.
It's ma'am. It take a 1 or 2 minutes. Okay, it
Yes,
is that
now.
time. Yes, ma'am. It's
Yes,
coming.
yes, ma'am.
Sharing,
Ma'am,
right?
visible.
Yes, yes, yes.
Visible,
Ma'am, visible
हाँ.
now.
Yes, it is visible.
Sharing was
Visible.
yeah. I was not allowed sharing.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, now visible?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
No,
So-
no
so-
yet, ma'am. Yes, now
good,
it is
ma'am.
visible.
Okay.
Very good, ma'am.
It is
Okay, so
it
let's
is
get
that's
to
why
the
it's
discussion of concrete. Let's finish this quickly before another jerk in the transmission comes. Okay. Most widely used material, about 2.5 tons of concrete is produced each year for every human being. Some facts and figures which tell us why we need to be so very conscious. The cement manufacturing generates 5% of the global greenhouse gases. And it constitutes more than 2/3 of the total embodied energy. The annual global cement produces 2.8 billion tons, and per capita consumption in India itself is 190 kg per year. So if we look at these facts and figures, we need to understand what do we need to do with our concrete. How judiciously we need to start thinking in the amount of concrete that we put in the infrastructure. The kind of greenhouse gas emissions, 1 ton of cement consumed in concrete absorbs 0.4 tons of CO2 while hardening. So the net amount of CO2 released in 1 ton of cement is 0.5 tons of CO2, greenhouse gases. By 2020, economical feasible stock. Can you hear me?
Yes,
I was
ma'am.
muted.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
You're
okay.
audible.
About our aggregates, we've already talked about the river sand, about the sand mining, and the kind of issues which we are facing. So we need to relook completely at our aggregates, at our cement, so at our completely the concrete industry itself. How much is viable? How much is absolutely needed? So, as I said, a lot has already been done. We are talking about fly ash, we are talking GGBS, we are talking about rice husk, ultra fine FA and ultra fine GGBS. We are able to produce more durable concrete, ultra high strength. We are already going to talk a lot in the coming days also. So this is already in. We are talking about lightweight aggregates, locally available aggregates, use of higher sizes of aggregate, optimum cement content, carbon sequestration of concrete. So this has been done very well. It is being put to use in a lot in the developed countries. They are already talking sustainability, they are talking sustainable goals. But we as a community in this part of the world have to sit up and transfer our technologies so that this becomes the new norm. This is the new normal that we have to adopt. Talking about the durability aspects also, the holistic approach for designing of durable structures would be design as per the environmental exposure. Use the appropriate material. use the proper construction methods, plan it, use minimal time, more efficiency, and finally you also need to have the quality control. So these are the aspects we need to talk about day in and day out, rather than just creating infrastructure, about designing, about the material use, about the cost effectiveness. So we are very beyond the time, cost and quality aspects, and we have to bring into our domains the strength, durability and sustainability aspects. One another factor that we need to stop and look at is just beyond the new construction or deconstruction, the retrofitting. Whatever we have as of now has to be put to its optimum use, and therefore the retrofitting becomes a very important aspect of sustainability. We cannot just say, okay, the old building stock vanish and we create a new building stock which is more sustainable, which is better suited to the future needs. So we need to look at avoiding unnecessary construction, but at the same time retrofitting using the sustainable development approaches. So you need to look at the ongoing philosophy, you need to look at the service life, how much is needed, what is the maintenance, what is the repair, and go ahead and retrofit very responsibly our built environment. Naturally, it will extend the economic life of the building, it will reduce the kind of landfill that we are really worried about from the waste materials, and inherently it gives you a more sustainable future, less consumption of resources, energy, transportation, and of course the pollution and the greenhouse gases. So types of retrofitting also we need to look at: green retrofit, general retrofit and seismic retrofit. We need to look at all these aspects from the green retrofitting point of view, so that our general retrofitting and the seismic retrofitting is also incorporated, but at the same time it is at the end of the day green. What do we mean by green retrofit? So when we say that any kind of upgrade of an existing building is wholly or partially occupied to improve energy and environmental performance. Till now, we have talked about retrofitting buildings which were depleted of their strengths. But can we start talking of retrofitting so that its environmental performance is improved, so that it uses more of natural light, more of air, less of noise? These are the new engineering systems that we have to start looking at, start developing and start talking about. So green buildings retrofitting will need a lot of changing in the lighting, a lot of maintenance and upgradation of the heating, ventilation and the air conditioning systems. It needs a complete relook at the water systems, the waterless urinals, recycling of grey water, capturing of rainwater, and of course the BIM that I have been mentioning about the building automation system, manage all operations, all systems, so that there is minimal footprint left at the end of the day with good cost, maintenance and sustainability. So some of the examples: solar air conditioning, lighting controls, daylight sensors. You have the technology. So start using that technology to the best of its use and start creating green buildings. They are costly as of now, but believe me, very soon we will be facing a future whereby you will be asked, is your building certified as per the green building norms? And then everything will fall in place, all technology, all the cost will fall in place, wherein the new norm is going to be, okay, you need to have the green building parameters put in place. You might have to completely retrofit your existing buildings also, just like our transportation, our vehicles that are going through that entire change to reduce the pollution, to improve the air quality on the roads. Similar things are going to happen to our buildings. A few case studies. Let's look at this Institute of Rural Research and Development in Gurgaon. So from the very beginning, starting with the material selection itself, if you look at the emission of 640 tons of CO2, it was avoided by using a construction practice into this building. What did they do? Excavated earth from the basement is used for manufacturing compressed earth blocks. And this is a real building, this is existing, and therefore we can see how it is being reused, how it is being put in place already as a green building. Locally available stones have been used for the cladding, finishing, flooring, and as a substitute for the metallic and ceramic cladding systems. Water conservation. So look at this beautiful amphitheater that has been created. This amphitheater acts as a filter bed for the rainwater storage. So the scarcity of water in that region has been addressed by integrating a large rainwater harvesting system and the storage system in the landscape design itself. So here comes your water conservation, the green building enthusiast. Here comes your landscape architecture. Here comes the compressed earth blocks that are being put to use. So the whole domain, the whole cross section of engineering parameters which we talked about within the domain of civil engineering is expanding multiple scale. Rainwater harvesting. So rainwater has been collected for 100 working days and treated fresh water demand is being met by that. So this is a classic example of where we need to go to relook at each and every building that we are designing and constructing. Another example, the nomadic museum. Now this was a museum which had to be transported. It had to be designed so that it could be put in place wherever it would go. So it was to be designed as a temporary and at the same time transportable exhibit space. So it was intended to be there in a particular place for 6 months and then it would be transported to California, to Tokyo, to Mexico. So here is this whole new terminology, adaptability and deconstructability. You need to deconstruct it, not destroy it. You need to reconstruct it at its new place. So these are the new demands and new infrastructure. And look at it, it's meant to be a museum for art. So it itself has to look beautiful to attract people into the museum. So what are the features? Shipping containers were used as vertical supporters, as these were easily available at the port sites wherever it would go. The containers were made up of heavy gauge corrugated sheets that act like shear walls, providing inherent rigidity. Circular columns and roof truss members made of cardboard. The bottom row of containers were welded to the steel beams because you needed certain structural stability. The sleepers would then be used also again for the transportation and deconstruction. Third case study, Konark Railway, South Goa, and residential buildings at RCF Mumbai. Glass fiber reinforced gypsum panel building systems were used. So rapid wall paneling using GFRG, calcined gypsum plaster reinforced with glass fibers, used as infills for load bearing as well as frame structures, faster construction, makes use of industrial waste gypsum, does not need any plastering, uses less cement, less sand, less steel and water than conventional buildings. The lightness of the structures also makes it safe for the earthquake forces, and the panels can be used as walls, not as floors, roofs and staircases. So these are some very quick case studies to elaborate on all the aspects that I talked about regarding starting with the climate change, to the construction methods, to the sustainability issues, to the new paradigm of sustainable construction. So we need to look at the construction sector because it is one of the most powerful sectors to make a meaningful contribution towards sustainable objectives. We need to look at practices which are important for the well-being of our planet. As I said, we are not working as individuals just so that our life is not impacted. Each individual decision that we make impacts the entire society. Believe it or not, the entire global community stands together in the decisions of the individuals. And we need to look at positive environmental impact of the sustainable construction so that we ensure effective management and design, enhanced performance of materials, and optimized utilization of renewable energy sources integrated with new technologies in the construction. We have to make our choices, and we are very well equipped, at least today, in the knowledge, in the sensitivity, in the decisions that we take for the human community as a whole. Thank you. So, if there are any questions, I would be happy to take the questions.
Questions,
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am. I request to all the participants, if you have any questions, please write in the chat box. Hello. If any questions from the participant side, I kindly request to write in the chat box so that we can ask to respected madam. Hello. Madam.
Yes,
really, it is appreciable for us that you have accept our invitation first, and on the instantly you said yes. Really, ma'am, it is privilege for us. I really thankful to you, ma'am, and it's such a nice series of expert lecture that keynote speak that you have given us to enlighten our knowledge, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for this remarkable and enlightening session. It was a pleasure to hear you. All the participants appreciated your renowned lecture in the Telegram group. Thank you, ma'am, for your time. Now all the participants can take a lunch break, and we will meet up again for the second session of the day at 1 p.m. Thank you.
Ma'am, thank you very much, ma'am, for your cooperation. મારો અવાજ નતો આવતો ત્યાં મારો અવાજ નતો આવતો મારો અવાજ હું બોલું તે સંભળાતો નતો હું જે બોલ્યો છેલ્લે સંભળાતો નતો
પાર્ટિસિપેટ ને બધું એલાઉ કરવું પડે લીમડીને કરો કરી નાખતો ભાઈ ચેટ બોક્સ કરશો
સર યુ આર ઓડિબલ સર તમારું માઇક ચાલુ જ છે
એ 5 મિનિટ પહેલા કરવાનું આપણે કેટલે બધા બધા કામ પૂરું કરે
Shall we go? Shall we go for lunch, sir? Yeah, तो बहुत तकलीफ पड़ गई है
No, sir.
Al film sono dotate essere film, lo stavo vedendo.
Hello? Hello? I kindly request to all the participants, please take a break for at least up to 1 o'clock. We will start the second session at 1 o'clock. Thank you very much. Look, participants.
Participant. Wait. અરે હમણાં આની માટે રાખ્યું છે. ભાઈ તને લાઈવ ખબર પડે? લાઈવ સ્ટ્રીમિંગ હાલો મારી આશા મૂકું. હું તને અત્યારે હાલમાં લાઈવ છું, પણ મને વિડીયો કેમ નથી ઓપન થતું? આ સ્ક્રીન જે છે તો હું બંધ કરું ને અત્યારે હાલમાં જો તું અત્યારે લાઈવમાં જો મારી ચેનલ તને મોકલું. હું તને શેર કરું 2 મિનિટ. હા બેટા, હું છે ને મેં કારમાં હમણાં શું છે કે આપણે તો ચાલુ કરી નાખ્યું. શેર કરીએ, શેરમાં વોટ્સઅપમાં જઈએ. બરાબર જો અત્યારે મેં તને કરીને લિંક શેર કરી, ઠીક છે મારી? બરાબર. હવે મારી આ સામે હું બંધ કરું. આમાં તને જો દેખાતું જ નથી, આમાં આખો અવાજ સંભળાય છે મારો. મતલબ હું જેવી બોલીશ સંભળાશે. હાલો 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 અવાજ આવે પણ મને બેટા વિડીયો નથી દેખાતો. જો હું આને બંધ કરું ને તો વિડીયો ઓપન થવું છે ને, વિડીયો ક્યાં ગયો? કયો વિડીયો દેખાય છે અત્યારે હાલમાં? અરે એ બંધ કરીને તો નથી દેખાવું. મારે અત્યારે હાલમાં સ્ક્રીન અલગ છે બેટા, એમ કહું છું. હા એક કામ કર, માઇક્રોસોફ્ટ ટીમ જ ઓપન કર્યું ને મેં. એમ તો તું લે ચાલ આજે માઇક્રોસોફ્ટ ટીમ ઓપન કર્યું. દેખાય છે તને? દેખાય છે તને? મારી સ્ક્રીનમાં દેખાય પણ બટા મારી સ્ક્રીનમાં નથી દેખાતું, એમ કહું છું. મને અત્યારે મારી સ્ક્રીન દેખાવી છે ને? ઓય લાઈવ સ્ટ્રીમિંગ તને ખબર છે? લાઈવ સ્ટ્રીમિંગ મને દેખાય છે પણ તને નથી દેખાતી ને, એમ કહું છું. નહીં આવતું બટા. હવે માઇક્રોસોફ્ટ ટીમે આખો વિડીયો કર્યો મારો, તે માઇક્રોસોફ્ટ ટીમમાં એમાં નથી દેખાતું, એમ કહું છું તને.
હા સર, એ લોડ થઈ રહ્યો.
કયો લોડ?
આપણે જે રેકોર્ડ કરે ને,
હવે એની વાત નથી કરતો. અરે હું સ્ટ્રીમિંગ કરે તેનો મતલબ અરે મને ખાલી ઇકોડ તો અહીંયાથી ચાલુ થઈ જાય એમ બધું મારા પીસીથી થાય ને ચાલ્યા કરે. એટલે તો એને આકાશને ફોન કરની, આકાશને ફોન કરની બેટા, આકાશને ફોન કરની. જો આમાં હું જે કરું છું ને લાઈવ, પછી આ વિડીયો કરું ને સેટિંગમાં જઈએ. ચાલો તો સેટિંગમાં જઈને મારો વિડીયો સ્ટુડિયોમાં છે ને, એમાં છે ને હું લાઈવ સ્ટ્રીમિંગમાં પેલું દેખાતું જ નથી. હા હા, તમને લોકોને જે દેખાતું હતું મારા કેસમાં ઊંધું થાય છે, એમ કહું છું. સમજો? આ બધું શું કહે છે યાર? છે પછી બધું પાણી તો તું ત્યાં લઈ ગયો ને. ઠંડુ છે ગરમ છે? ગરમ છે, ગરમ છે. તો એક વાર પેલું આટલું છે? હા પેલું પાણી આટલું છે? અત્યારે હું આવે છે શું દેખાય? હું દેખાય તને? મેં તને એ જ કહું છું ને કે આમાંથી જે સ્ક્રીન હોવી જોઈએ મારી એ કેમ નહીં દેખાતી? એન્ડ સ્ક્રીનિંગ કરેલા પૂછે ને પછી આકાશ